Ashley Ratcliffe, the Director of Communications and Operations with We Are Ill. I was diagnosed with MS in March 2018. Welcome to our video on self-advocacy for patients living with MS. Self-advocacy is simply the act of speaking up for yourself, making sure your needs and wants are being met. It's an essential skill for people living with a chronic condition like MS, and it allows us to take an active role in our own healthcare. Today, we'll be discussing the importance of self-advocacy and providing tangible solutions to common challenges that come up with speaking up to ensure that you're receiving the best care possible. Well, let's get started. I'd like to welcome our amazing panelists. We have Nicole White and Brianna Pearson. Thanks so much for joining us, ladies. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am Nicole White. After a 12-year, very emotional journey, I was diagnosed with MS in 2019. I am currently 46 years old, living in Chicago and trying to thrive amidst it all. So it's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I am Brianna Pearson. I am living in Chicago right now. I was diagnosed in technically between August and October of 2021. It started with optic neuritis and just kind of went south from there. And I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much, ladies. To start, why do you think patients have difficulty advocating for themselves?
Honestly, I think fear, especially when you're in a situation to where you're newly diagnosed, it's a lot of emotions tied into that. It's fear, it's not being confident in dealing with this. It's just a lack of knowledge maybe about whatever, illness you're dealing with. But I think in a nutshell, it comes down to fear and emotions most of the time.
I would attribute my personal experience and some of those that I have been speaking with about this. It's such a long journey for some of us to get diagnosed. And you sit in a space where you are battling with the medical professionals to be seen and to be heard. And you set up this idea. You either come to it as the professionals are right because they are trained to do this, or that I can't, they don't believe me, and so I have to fight for everything that I get. And once you get the diagnosis after having experienced that, some of us, it causes us to lose our voice, and lose the confidence that it takes to stand up for the things that you feel is right about yourself. On top of, you don't know what's happening to your body. So you're confused because you're like, well, is this MS that my hand can't unfold this morning, or is it something else? And you begin to doubt, you're in a space of doubting what you know to be true about yourself, because the medical professionals are saying whatever they feel is professionally appropriate to say. That relationship that you have with your medical provider, I think, is paramount to any form of self-advocacy. Without that relationship, and I don't think it's a partnership because partnership is too technical, relationship is much more. This is about a human thing. For a lot of us, it's life or death. And so if the relationship is not in a productive space and place, it's hard for some of us to find our advocacy voice. And so I think that is definitely something that some of us are struggling with, how to find our voice in the midst of relationships that are just sometimes abusive. You can't be seen, you can't be heard, and you feel out of place because you're not your most confident self. You're sitting in your most extreme vulnerabilities, and you have to work with someone to figure out how to get healthy. And so I think that's a lot about that self-advocacy piece is finding that relationship and that support and that place where you can be your best self and work with the person that's supposed to be taking care of you medically.
Yeah, I can totally relate. I was misdiagnosed as having a herniated disc when my foot started feeling numb and I developed a foot drop. And I was misdiagnosed as having a herniated disc. And so I was undergoing treatment for that. And thankfully, my physical therapist was like, I don't think that's it. So I talked to my chiropractor who had been treating me and diagnosed me as having a herniated disc and said, I don't think that this is it. I'm going to seek a second opinion. He got real mad, which, first of all, sir, why? Your
Right.
ego. Like, I'm the patient here. I'm the one who I'm the one who's experiencing this discomfort. I can't walk right. Like, anyway, he made me feel real small and said, well, they're just going to tell you whether, you need surgery or not. And we already know that you don't. So, like, why are you wasting your time seeing a neurosurgeon? And I actually canceled my appointment. And then shortly thereafter, I was like, wait a damn minute. Like, I need help. He's not giving me the care that I need. So I'm going to go and get that second opinion. And thankfully, soon thereafter, it was the neurosurgeon who told me, like, no, that's not it. He could just tell by the way I was walking that that wasn't it. And that
Right.
ultimately led me
Mhm.
to getting diagnosed with MS. But just advocating for myself and just saying, like, no, I need better. I need a second opinion. I was scared. Like, it was like, well, he's going to make
Mhm.
me, like, he's the professional. He's the one who has the degrees on the wall. He's
Absolutely.
the one who's done the training. And so it was, yes, like you mentioned, Bree, like the fear aspect, like, I don't
Yeah.
know, like, and then being at the mercy, Nicole, of, someone who you don't really have that relationship with. It's like, transactional, right? You're my doctor. I see you. You tell me what to take, and then there it is. He rushes me out the office because he has so many patients. The relationship wasn't necessarily there. So many factors come into play with
Mhm.
self-advocacy. I'd like you all to paint a picture for us. What does self-advocacy look like for you in your day-to-day life with MS?
Depends on the
So,
day, right?
Right.
right. My family would tell you that I'm very dramatic, so I have a very dramatic answer to that. But really, to me, self-advocacy starts with me extending myself grace and really being thoughtful about engaging everyone that needs to be engaged. When I started off the journey of post-diagnosis, I cut everyone off, right? And I went to the appointments by myself. I cried by myself. I made decisions about meds by myself, and that's not really in my best. That wasn't in my best interest. And so self advocacy is for me rooted in knowing who needs to be at the table with me, which family members need to come to me because I don't know what questions I should be asking. There are things that doctors ask, and they're just like, you how are you feeling? Oh, how have you been? And I'm like, oh, I've been okay. And my husband at the time was like, no, you've really been very fatigued and you've fallen 5 times this week. And I'm just like, I fell 5 times this week. Like, talking about, that kind of thing. And so I'm like, oh, well, I did, and so having your loved ones with you is a form of self-advocacy, right? And being able to communicate how you truly are feeling and why you're making certain decisions matter. So when you go into your doctors and you're deciding how to do what decisions that you're going to make, it's rooted in like this this collaborative, loving, supportive thing, and you don't feel like you have to fight the world. Really bringing people with you can help you to make a holistic decision. They're able to help you see things in different perspectives in different ways. I think should be considered part of self-advocacy, and that's why I do that. I do it that way. The more family members that are educated and aware about how I'm feeling, how I get better, and how I approach life helps me to remain well, right? And so I can have better conversations with my medical team because I'm feeling better and I'm in a space that I'm not stressed out. So I think that that's a really, really important piece of self-advocacy that sometimes we don't consider. We only consider it as it relates to having these conversations with the doctor, but you should bring people with you and have them in that space and have them help support you through making those medical decisions.
Absolutely. Bree, do you have anything to add?
Um, yeah, I think for me, just with my diagnosis experience, it was really fast tracked compared to either one of you or a lot of people. I woke up with a blurry eye. I ended up getting it checked out at urgent care. They sent me to the hospital for MRI, and it just started from there. 2 months later, I relapsed again. But I think from the very beginning, I had all of my family involved. I was, 3 years into my marriage. I had just relocated to Chicago. So when all of this happened, like my family in Michigan, we had a shared note of questions and they came here. My husband was involved and my kids, and I had a lot of support. But one thing I think that did do is just kind of like headspace wise, it made me just like, okay, I can deal with this. I'm not changing anything. I'm not asking for help. And I kind of just cracked because I was putting that pressure on myself to just deal with this in a certain way. And that took
Mhm.
about the past year to kind of work through that. So for me, on a day to day, that just is doing what makes you feel comfortable, knowing when to sit down, knowing when to ignore my husband telling me not to clean the whole house because I need to rest, because that's what's going to make me feel better. Just little stuff like that on a day to day is
Yeah.
what that looks like for me.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, shout out to our support partners, our family and friends and loved
Yes.
ones who tell us, sit your tail down. Like, you don't need to be
Mhm.
doing that. Like, thank God for them.
That.
Right.
That kind of thing. Yeah. Yeah. Just like, I can
um,
do it all. Yeah, no, you can't.
no, you can't.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, so for you, what has been your toughest challenge with advocating for yourself? Like, how do you bounce back from discouragement?
Mm,
Oh, so many tears. Listen, I
right.
had an episode where I there was a time I'm like maybe 30, 70, 30% on my rollator, 70% not on my rollator at this point. But there was a time when I was more 30. Anyway, um, the airlines broke my rollator, and I was flying Southwest into Dallas, and the rollator first they were like, we can't find it. It's like 11 o'clock at night, and my sister is picking me up, and I'm with my other sister because at the time no one would let me travel by myself. And we get there, and the rollator's missing for maybe about 40 minutes, and then after they find it, the rollator's broken. And I'm just like, now I didn't say this, but I'm formerly an elementary school principal, and I've been in charge of a whole bunch of people, and I've done all the things professionally that I wanted to do. And so I solve problems on a daily basis. They came with my rollator broken, and I cried like a baby. I cried. I felt so small, so broken. I'm like, go get my little sister out the car. And my sister, my big sister, went and got my little sister. My little sister comes in, and she's just like, what do you, and she takes over the situation. I'm just like, oh no. And I lost it. I was unable to communicate my feelings. I was unable to get past the idea that you would try to give me a rollator that I can't even fit. You don't understand disability. You don't understand accessibility rules. You know, you're compromising my trip. Why can't I be like everyone else? It was really, really difficult for me to find my voice. And I find that when I'm challenged at restaurants, when my feet can't dangle on the high boy chairs, and they don't have the proper restaurant seats. I mean, seats in the restaurants, or the cracks in the sideway, just small things. I was in California, the beaches, you can't use your rollator at any of the beaches because, those are the times when I really, really get small and have a really difficult time advocating for myself. And I need my support team and my family to speak on my behalf until I'm able to get myself in a space. It's very, very emotional, and you don't know it until you need it. All of these things that are supposed to happen, and these accessibility measures that are supposed to happen, when they don't happen for you, it's just completely devastating. And I have a tough time getting through those. That's when I'm at my smallest, most vulnerable space, is when my rights are taken away from me
Yeah.
because of the disability.
Yeah. Bree, do you have anything to add?
Um, yeah, I would say my toughest challenge, honestly, is probably just being tired, whether that's mentally, emotionally, physically. I think a huge complaint among all of us is the fatigue, and that looked very, very different for me. Like I said, I had just moved, got married. We have a blended family. I have two littles, two teenagers. It's just knowing when to say, hey, I'm not dealing with this right now. I'll deal with it later, especially keeping up with all of the doctor's appointments and the infusions and taking your meds every day. I just think that has been the biggest struggle. Just tired of feeling crappy, like just not yourself or what you used to be before diagnosis. That's been my biggest struggle. Bouncing back from that, I think acknowledging that I've dealt with this a lot. I just recently stopped taking my DMT, and I'm in the process of starting another one. And I did the relapse treatment, and I did the steroid infusions, and keeping up with that and making sure the infusion center was doing what they were supposed to with the insurance. And I'm just like, I need a break. I'm not going to call. Hopefully they're doing their job. I need a timeout. And obviously, that could either have not be a big deal at all to some people, or it could have a negative impact on your situation, depending on how long, you kind of push things off. But I think just acknowledging when you need a timeout is the biggest bounce back for me.
Yeah. For me, it's like taking the time to vent and just having that listening ear to be like, y'all, like insurance is crazy. Like they had the nerve to, yo, like, how is vitamin D test not covered for an MS patient blood work? Like
Don't
that
even
is
get me
bonkers.
started on the vitamins.
Right. It's like, what are we doing here? So for me, it's like when I'm really discouraged, thank God for my fiance. He will listen. He'll let me just talk it out. And then it's like, all right, what do we do now? All right, pick it up. Also, turning on some worship music can like just turn my
Mhm.
mood around. And I'm just like, you know what? God's got it. Like, I don't even have to do it in my own strength because I can't. Like, just Jesus, take the wheel, literally, please and thank you.
Right.
So that's been helpful for me. I feel like MS warriors have become, professional patients. We are,
Mm-hmm.
we have to go to so many, like from the blood work to like getting labs to the MRIs. It's like a lot that goes into it. And so I feel like a lot of situations arise where we do need to advocate for ourselves. So I'd like to get into some common situations that come up when dealing with medical professionals and help our community by providing real life solutions. Does that sound okay, ladies?
Great, let's do it.
Okay, all right, here we go. So, scenario one, your neurologist won't approve an MRI. Have you ever been in that situation? Or if you haven't, how would you advise someone to handle that situation?
Yeah, I've had that. In the beginning of my diagnosis, there was a lot going on, a lot. I was very, very sick, and I felt like all the time something was, I needed to see someone. And my first neurologist, who happened to leave because he was, retiring, told me, when you don't feel right, when you feel like something is wrong, go to the hospital. Go to the hospital. And I did twice and was hospitalized twice, having had an exacerbation. And so I was correct. But when he retired, that's not the way all neurologists do it. And you
Mm-hmm.
have to say things, I felt like I had to write down every time and everything, because I had to justify requesting the MRI. I am routinely giving them when I request them, and I because I go with the list of my symptoms, and they want to hear things and say things like how things have changed, how long have you been feeling a certain way, what exactly do you feel, and I felt, and I continually do that in writing down the dates, how I'm feeling. Um, uh, did it go away? How long did it take to go away? What was the feeling like? I'm able to get the things that I want to get, but that initial time coming into that new neurologist, and he was just like, yeah, no, you don't need. You just had an MRI 6 months ago. Yeah, you're gonna give me another one. These are the things that I'm feeling, and so I'm routinely able. I average about 2 a year, because something happens in early fall and something happens to me right in midwinter, that I have these moments and these, I don't know if they are exacerbation or not, but flare-ups that concern me, and I want answers. And so I keep that list of symptoms, and I keep a list of records of how I'm feeling, and how every day, I'm writing up, well, my head was hurting today, and I had things that I wouldn't even consider. I write down when I fall. I write down when my foot is dragging. I write down even upset stomachs, because I don't know what all is attributed to it, but I just know, having 12 years of not being diagnosed properly, you won't catch me again. So I report everything and I call for everything. So that would be my advice when you have um, insurance companies and physicians that do not want to do it. That I would say that. And the last thing I just want to add is, there's something with insurance companies called continuity of care. when you are transitioning out of different insurance companies, or you are early, let's say you switch jobs, you're in between insurance companies, you can request something called a continuity of care, where you can put down that I have MS and I require my infusions to stay on, I require MRI treatments, whatever, just to put them on notice that you're going through a transition, but you require your care to stay the same. So I just wanted to lift that up for everyone.
Good. I hadn't heard of that. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And that's a tool that you could kind of like makes it more formal. Like, hey, this is legit. This is authorized through my insurance company. Give me what I need, please and
Yeah.
thank you. Love that.
Yeah, that was good.
Um, let's see. Scenario 2, you tell your doctor about your worsening symptoms, but they brush you off. How would you handle that? Or have you experienced that? And if so, what did you do?
I have experienced that one recently. Maybe in the summertime, I felt like I was having, I guess, a flare. I don't know if it was a true relapse. And I started reaching out in my chart, and I'm just like, hey, I'm a lot more numb than I usually am. It's in a few different areas than it normally is. And he's just like, yeah, just monitor it. You're on Tysabri now, so you really shouldn't be having these issues. And I was just like, okay, I left it alone. A few days later, it got a lot worse. I messaged him again. I'm like, hey, like I know what this feels like. This is different. This is constant. This is something that I wasn't even dealing with when I first relapsed. And he finally, listened to me. He ended up prescribing a nerve medication to see if that would help. But it was just him acknowledging, like, okay, maybe she is going through something different, and let me see if we can do this, and this to help. I think still, like, following up what Nicole was saying, it's just about being direct.
Yeah.
You got to stay on them.
Yeah, for
And if
sure.
I can add to that, when you talk about self-advocacy, knowing the different therapies. So one
Mm-hmm.
of the things that I institute all the time with my neurologist is, I'm feeling numb on my left side, I'm weak, I'm falling, I'm unable to hold things, and it's time for you to see a physical therapist, right? So I have physical therapy several times a year, because for I go and get initial assessment. Oh, you're weak on this side. Let's help strengthen you up, as a way to keep well, and to prevent me from losing, strength, or losing capabilities on either side that's compromised. But I don't think that we use the therapy, speech therapy, physical therapy, occupational therapy enough in our practice. We always wait until we have an exacerbation, but there are therapies that you can use that's not, of course, DMT related, but you can use to help prolong your wellness. And I think that's an important piece. When you're having a conversation with your doctor about the symptoms, you can work through those type of things with the therapies.
Yeah. I think for me, if a doctor, well, like I explained earlier in the session when I was first misdiagnosed, and I was telling him like, hey, nothing is working, the physical therapy isn't working, and he didn't listen. My
Mm-hmm.
advice is to seek a second opinion. If your doctor isn't listening to you, or you feel like you can't come to them with your concerns, red flag. And maybe I'm just like a little bit like militant about it now. I'm like, fired, on to
That
the next.
PTSD.
Like, I don't have time to like convince you, right? So I think that, and I know that in and of itself is taxing, because even finding the neurologist or the MS specialist is
Mm-hmm.
like finding a needle in a haystack sometimes. But for
Mm-hmm.
me, that's what I had to do. I had to seek a second opinion, and that's ultimately what led to me being diagnosed and me getting the care that I ultimately needed. Um, so don't be afraid to fire your doctor. Um, Scenario 3, your neurologist always tries to rush you through your appointments and doesn't want to take time to answer your questions. How would you handle that?
Get a new neurologist.
Ooh.
But listen, I don't want to come off like I don't have I am looking for a new neurologist right now as we speak. So let me be very clear. Um, it's not easy. It took me a while to realize, why are my appointments 15 minutes? That doesn't make sense to me. It took me a while to realize, you're just asking me to stand and I walk. Like, no, I wanna talk about how I'm doing. The other thing I want to say is, with the DMT, I'm on Tysabri. You have to take a screening every time. Well, my facility does, and it helps me to understand. And I feel very connected to the idea that the test that has to be ran in order for me to get approved, the screening that has to happen before I can go in and get my service. That's important, right? And so it taught me, like, I'm supposed to be talking to you about this. You can't just say, how's it going? And I say, fine. And okay, you're on to the next. No, and so I started asking questions and I started preparing again because I write down my symptoms. Hey, so I'm having this. Am I supposed to be experiencing this? Tell me what, and a long time, like last year, my feet was hurting every day for like 3 months, my feet. And so we're going to talk about gym shoes. I went in with the walking shoes. Tell me, what does this mean? And so I end up having an hour and a half meeting with them or appointment with them because, no, I have questions and we're going to sit here and we're going to answer all of them. The more educated I get, the better those appointments go, because I felt like I was leaning into the neurologist leading the conversation and directing and determining how long. No, I need to get educated about me and educated about this condition so that I am leading the conversation and I am coming. I have to participate a lot more than what I'm expecting. The ownership is not really on that person. It's really, really on me because it's my body. And so I change the direction of my appointments because I try my best to take as much accountability and get myself as educated as best as possible.
Yeah. Anything to add, Bree?
Yeah, I agree with that completely. I think the biggest thing about this is the education piece that's going to play into how confident you feel, how prepared you are. You can jot down questions, but if you don't really understand the foundation of what's going on with your body, the questions aren't going to get you that far. It's a lot easier for a doctor to kind of cut an appointment short if you don't have a lot of dialect in the room. I haven't personally dealt with or heard of a situation where I'm just talking and asking questions and they're just like, okay, bye. They're going to keep talking if you keep talking. And I also found that clinicians talk to you differently when it at least sounds like you've done a little research or you understand the basis of what you're dealing with. So I think that's a huge thing too. So yeah, just
that's that put
the
respect on my name.
education.
I know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
right. I just dealt with a situation like that where she kind of approached it was my second opinion. She kind of approached the appointment, just kind of belittling me a little bit. And the more I talked, the more she changed her attitude. Like I know what's going on. I've done the research. I'm coming to you for your expert opinion. But I have a brain too. So education is everything in this world.
Yeah, it's great advice. You have to closed mouths don't get fed. So if you are just expecting your doctor to drive the conversation, honey, they are busy. They have so many patients that they have to see that day.
Get you out of there. Yeah.
Right. So if you have to speak up. You have to let them know. You have to come prepared. Like, these are my symptoms. This is how I'm feeling. I haven't personally experienced a situation where, I've been rushed off, but I think if I were, I would then ask the neurologist, how much time are my appointments? Because I literally just got here 5 minutes ago. Like, what should I be expecting for the time for the appointments? And then maybe that would be like, oh yeah, she did. She's only been in my chair for 5 minutes. So just maybe being direct and just asking them what the expectation is of an appointment. Again, that hasn't happened to me, but I think just asking questions and then also relying on the office staff too. They might be able to help better manage expectations in that situation. Alrighty. Last scenario 4. You need to switch disease modifying therapies or DMTs and are running into issues with insurance. Have you experienced that? And if so, how did you handle it?
I'm actually going through that one now. We'll try to shorten this up as much as I can. I started on Tysabri from the beginning of when I was diagnosed. I knew going into it that I was JC positive. The discussion I had with my neurologist, which, I respect him a lot, was just let's do Tysabri for a year tops, and then, we'll get off of it and try something else. Well, that year rolled around, the discussions begun, and he was saying that he wanted me to stay on Tysabri because of new research saying that if you spread them out, it lowers your risk. he gave me studies to read. I took pen and highlighters on those studies and picked through them. I've done my own research. I still didn't feel comfortable. I'm like, I'm kind of still going with what you told me from the beginning. And he left it up to me. He gave me three recommendations. For me and my personality, I drove myself crazy with this. I didn't know what to do. It's scary. And I went back and forth. I'm like, you know what? Let me just go get a second opinion. And I spoke with her. And I think another big thing to realize when you are in the second opinion world, all of these doctors have different styles depending on the doctor, the health system that they're in. And it's not necessarily that one is wrong or more right than the other. It's just honestly different styles. Some are more aggressive, some are more conservative. The neurologist I went to go see was more conservative than my specialist. And she recommended that I did stop. And I didn't switch doctors or anything like that. I went with his second recommendation, which was to stop Tysabri, and I'm in the process of starting Ocrevus. So just having that confidence in it, making your decision for yourself still is all going to tie back into that self-advocacy. You have to be comfortable with it. You have to take control of your care plan. It's your decision.
I just want to add, I switched from Tecfidera, which was the pill, to Tysabri, and I had a difficult time. I knew when I got diagnosed. So first, I'm saying I was in so much grief that I was unable to really make an educated choice about the DMT. I was very sick, and I was stunned. I was depressed. I was all of those things. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, whatever, give me whatever. And I didn't want to deal with that right then. I just didn't. And I was sad and pissed and grieving. So I took the Tecfidera. I was very sick, very, very sick. I knew that I was sick. That summer was extremely depressed, very, very depressed, and very sick physically. And I stopped, and the insurance would not approve Tysabri at the time. And I found that it's based off of, one of the theories is what the doctor puts in the notes. To what you were saying, Bree, around if there's not enough dialogue in the room happening, there's not enough to write down. And I was so depressed. I wasn't attending mentally my meetings, my appointments. I was just showing up for my appointments, running through the procedures and then leaving, not really connecting and not really talking about the things that I was feeling. So I didn't have meds from the summer all the way until October. I had a big exacerbation, had to learn how to walk all over again, all of that. And then that is when the Tysabri was eventually approved. And so I guess what I'm saying is, make sure that you are connecting and you are talking and you are requesting your records so that you can see what is in there. If it's not a true representation of how you are feeling and how you are experiencing life with MS, you have to get vocal about that because those records matter. Those records matter.
Yes, definitely. It sounds like you ladies have a great handle on advocating for yourself. I mean, not because it was something fun to do, but because you had to, right?
There's no other option.
So yeah, there's no other option. But what has been the result of you advocating for yourself? Do you find that you have better treatment plans, improved relationship with your doctor? What has been the positive result of you speaking up for yourself?
I would say drawing back to the decision I'm dealing with now with the switch, when I say I was having a hard time with that decision, because you kind of do second guess yourself. Like I have an amazing MS specialist. He's literally one of the top in the country. And it's like, well, why would I second guess what he's saying? I trust him ideally, why would he knows better than me, right? But I think it upset me and stressed me out so bad. That's when, you know what, let me go get that second opinion. The second I walked out of that office, it was like a weight lifted off my shoulders. That's when I had that conversation. Well, it's not necessarily right or wrong. There's different styles. Like I said, she was more conservative, but she did confirm all of my concerns, which were his original concerns. And it just gave me that confidence. So I'm still scared, but I made the decision for me. I didn't listen to him. I took it upon myself to just make a decision that I was comfortable with. And like I said, it was just a huge weight lifted off my shoulders. That was my biggest reward in that.
Yeah.
For me, I had to heal from the trauma of being misdiagnosed.
Mm-hmm.
And I lost a lot of trust in medical professionals and the system and all of that. And this experience has renewed my trust, but brought that to the front for me. I really didn't consider how important it is to be able to trust your doctor. They just were an authority figure, and you did what they told you to do, right? And so I had to really understand and process and therapy that thing through, because that it was really causing me a lot of trauma. And I was hesitant to switch because I didn't want to go through that again. I didn't want to go through waiting 6 months to get approved. I didn't want to go through waiting 6 months to be seen. I just have so much trauma and PTSD from like being treated in inhumane ways. That's as politically correct as I could say that. And being not honored as a Black woman, right? I just felt like when you look at me, if all you see is an obese woman, then you're gonna miss me every single time. And I was pissed about it. I was upset. I felt slighted. And so I really, really had to get into a place where I could heal from all of that. Being Black, being a woman, being plus 40 matters to my treatment. And I need a doctor that understands and will take the time to get to know me and the conditions that drive how I live my life. But I wouldn't open myself up to that because of the PTSD from the other doctors. And so I'm in a space now that I'm working through that, and I'm processing through that, and that gives you a liberation and a freedom that you can't buy. That's just, I'm on the other
Exactly.
side of it now, and I'm super happy about it. But that's what that liberation is, what I've gotten from just showing up and participating in my medical treatment plan and not being treated, but being a part of my treatment plan has definitely made a difference in my life.
Yeah. For me, I think advocating for myself has kind of gave me a renewed confidence. I know that if and when things go awry or things get challenging with a doctor or getting treatment, I've done it before. So I know there's nothing I can't do now. So just it's a muscle that you have to keep stretching. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, like you said, Bree, like you're afraid confronting your neurologist. You're board certified.
Yeah,
You're
you get
famous,
real small.
right? And you feel real small, but do it anyway. You're scared, but do
Hmm.
it anyway.
You'll be fine.
You'll make it. Um, and that leads me to my next question. What practical advice do you have for fellow Black women living with MS to make speaking up for themselves easier?
Still ties back to educating yourself. And I think taking the time to, obviously, finding a MS specialist isn't the easiest thing to do in the world, especially depending on where you live. But just like you go to restaurants and you look up reviews, Google your doctors you're thinking about going to. I read the reviews on doctors before I see a new doctor or pick a new doctor. You can, yeah, you have to kind of pick through that. Some of them, not aren't don't always paint the whole picture. But if you see a lot of ones that are on there like, she didn't listen to me, he didn't listen to me, they rushed through the appointment, then it's probably not a good fit for you. I would just say do your due diligence in that part and just educate yourself, research the facility you're going to, research the hospital they're affiliated with. All of that, I think, would make it an ideal situation, or a little easier at least to speak up for yourself because you'll feel more comfortable there.
For sure.
I agree with that completely, Bree, and I would just add, find your community.
Mm-hmm.
It's really hard to be the only. It's it's hard to be the only, and a lot of us are the only ones in our families and our friend groups that are managing and living with MS. When you find your sense of community and your space and the people that, even though MS hits us all differently, there's strength. We are stronger together. and you're able to get ideas, suggestions, comfort. You're able to get connected and hearing things like Bria's going to tell me about this neurologist that she has when we get off this call. Because I am looking, right?
He's
But no,
retiring.
see, this is what I'm talking about.
So
They all
I'm
are
going to be in your boat. I'm going to need to find a
right.
new one.
But finding community is important. That's what Black women do really, really well. Be in community with each other and lift each other up. And it gives you the ideas and the inspirations and the confidence to go out there and face all facets of living with this condition. And so, in that, you find the wellness to be able to speak up and talk to yourself and talk up for yourself. And that's the important piece. It's not that we don't know how to advocate and we don't know how to do these things, but we all are living, it's all living in us in different ways. And it brings out the most surprising things in us. And so being in community with each other and finding your space and finding that lifeline in women that look like you, that experience life like you, can be a game changer in how you approach this
Yeah.
this condition.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can wholeheartedly say that when I found We Are Ill and worked up the courage to go to that wellness weekend, it completely changed having MS for me. And I mean that literally. I was really struggling with this. I went to a Biogen event and I met, a woman. She was really nice. They had a support group, but none of them looked like me. None of them were younger. None of them looked like me. It was just kind of like, but that's really what I needed. And when I went to the wellness weekend, it honestly did change my life. I'm speaking up now. I'm really shy. I'm not a little socially awkward, but it's just finding your community, whether it's virtually through chat. I've experienced Reddit groups on. I know people have their opinion on Reddit, but you can go down rabbit holes. But I just think finding any type of outlet and community is a game changer.
Yes, that's exactly why Victoria created We Are Ill, is because she didn't see anyone who looked like her represented. And look where
Mm-hmm.
we are today. I met both of you lovely ladies at Wellness.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the perfect plug, perfect segue. Get on
Yes,
our
it
mailing
is.
list. Get on our mailing list because our next wellness weekend will be taking place October 20th through 22nd in Atlanta, Georgia again. You do not want to miss it. If you're a Black woman living with MS, it
Nope.
is the place to be. I'm
Yes.
telling you, just the camaraderie, the friendships, the
Mm-hmm.
bonding, the knowledge, it was just phenomenal.
Yes.
So you do not want to
Yeah.
miss out on that. So that it brings us to the end of our wonderful conversation. Do you ladies have any final thoughts, anything else you want to highlight before we close?
Um, I mean, I'm a little more than a year into this, so this is all still fresh, but I just think from the beginning, I wish I would have just given myself more grace. It's really scary. And I used to see, a few people, like whether it was on the internet or just whatever the situation, oh yeah, you'll be okay. It'll be fine, but you will. It takes time to find your new normal, process your new normal, and just giving yourself that grace, finding your community, taking control of your care plan, just doing everything you can to make sure you're okay in this, I think is just really, really vital in thriving with this and living well.
I would just add that love is just as important as the
Mm-hmm.
DMT, any exercise, any food that you eat. Love is part of the treatment plan, rooted in self-love and surrounding yourself in love will help you feel 100 times better and help you process,
Absolutely.
transition, and live and thrive with MS. So surround yourself with love is just
Mm-hmm.
is vital.
Amazing. Beautiful.
Yeah.
Beautifully stated. Well, I love y'all. I thank you so much for sharing your perspectives. And I really appreciate it. And I know that our viewers will. So thank you so much.
Thanks for
If
having
you're
us.
watching this, please get plugged in with We Are Ill. We have a community on Facebook as well as a thriving Instagram space. So follow us on Instagram at We Are Illmatic. And you can go to our website, weareillms.com, and you can find a form at the bottom to sign up for our newsletter. So you want to stay plugged in so you don't miss anything. And thank you all so much for watching, and happy MS Awareness Month.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so
Bye.
much for having
I'll
us.
see you guys in October.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Bye.
Bye.